I remember one night, not long after giving birth, my daughter was asleep, finally, after hours of nursing. I passed her to her dad and slipped away to the bathroom just to pee. A simple act that now felt like a rare and dangerous luxury. As I walked past the mirror, I saw my reflection and froze. I didn't recognize myself. There I was, standing in an oversized breastfeeding gown, my breasts still half exposed, my postpartum belly wrapped in a giant diaper. My face, pale, hollow out, eyes ringed with exhaustion, looked like it belonged to someone else. I felt trapped inside this foreign body, trapped inside a life I hadn't consented to. I wanted to run more than anything, but there was nowhere to go. I had hit a wall, and for the first time in my life, I could not push past it. You have been told you can be limitless, that success means doing more, growing faster, and making big things happen immediately. But what if that's not true? In today's episode, we'll explore why honoring your limit isn't a weakness, but is actually the key to flow, ease, and sustainable success. And stay with me until the end for a poem that will remind you just how much you are already enough. In this series, we journey along the untamed path of purpose and freedom. I'm Milena, here to share with you stories, insights, and poetry to help you lead a life and a business rooted in your soul. So let's take a deep breath. Pour yourself a cup of hibiscus tea and let's wander down the Wildflower Way together. I spent years chasing the illusion of unlimited potential until the day I hit a limit so unmovable that it forced me to question everything I believed. You know the kind of potential I'm talking about. The kind sold by high performance coaches, self help gurus, and Silicon Valley optimizers. The kind that tells you you can full time biohack your body, outwork your emotions, and transcend all limitations if you just try hard enough. And I did try. In my early 20s, I lived by those mantras. I woke up at 5 a.m. to meditate, journal, visualize, manifest. I believed discipline could override exhaustion. I treated rest like a mortal failure. I believed limits were obstacles to conquer. Then life graciously, brutally kicked my ass. One of the biggest kicks came in the form of motherhood. From the moment I got pregnant, I was terrified, not just of the usual things, the childbirth, the sleepless night, the responsibility of caring for a helpless being. My terror ran deeper because for the first time in my life, my body was out of my control. I, the disciplined yogi, the embodiment of willpower, could not override the sheer force of biology. I was exhausted, my emotion fraying at the edges, and so nauseous my breakfast was sucking on a slice of ginger. But instead of surrendering to what my body was asking of me, rest, nourishment, stillness, I pushed. At 5 or 6 months pregnant, I was still running massive projects, managing collaborations across different countries in Vietnam and Singapore, pretending I could carry on like nothing had changed. Because to acknowledge my limits felt like admitting failure. And then motherhood came and it swallowed me whole. I remember one night, not long after giving birth, my daughter was asleep, finally, after hours of nursing. I passed her to her dad and slipped away to the bathroom just to pee. A simple act that now felt like a rare and dangerous luxury. As I walked past the mirror, I saw my reflection and froze. I didn't recognize myself. There I was, standing in an oversized breastfeeding gown, my breasts still half exposed, my postpartum belly wrapped in a giant diaper. My face, pale, hollow out, eyes ringed with exhaustion, looked like it belonged to someone else. I felt trapped inside this foreign body, trapped inside a life I hadn't consented to. I wanted to run more than anything, but there was nowhere to go. I had hit a wall, and for the first time in my life, I could not push past it. There was no biohacking for this, no visualization technique that could undo the raw, visceral reality of my limits. And I resented it. Oh, I did. I resented my body for failing me. I resented my baby for needing so much of me. I resented the world for letting me believe that if I could just try harder, I could be limitless. That resentment almost broke me. And then slowly, something shifted. I stopped trying to force myself back to normal. Instead, I built a life around my reality. I took a 4-month maternity leave instead of the initial 8 weeks that I planned. And when I returned to work, I started with just 4 hours a week. Slow, intentional, honoring what was actually doable for me. I worked with a therapist and a conscious parenting coach to navigate my inner world. I hired a nanny for extra support, and I gave my body what it craved: massages, rest, nourishment. And something unexpectedly happened. Instead of falling behind, I grew. Having limited work time forced me to become ruthlessly strategic. I stopped wasting energy on projects that weren't working. I focused only on the business activities that created the most impact and revenue with the least time and effort. I stopped overworking, overcommitting, and overgiving. And it paid off. By the time my daughter turned 2, my business hit its highest revenue month ever, $33,000 in December 2022. That same month, I was launching new programs, serving clients powerfully, and incubating a vision for the future. That same month, I had just returned from a family trip to Uruguay. I was doing less, but my work was stronger, sharper, more impactful. I'd let go of the fantasy of being limitless, and in return, I'd found something real. When we resist our limits, when we treat them as obstacles to overcome rather than wisdom to listen to, we don't transcend them. We just suffer more. Ignoring my limit didn't make me more powerful. It made me exhausted, resentful, and brittle. But I see this everywhere, not just in new mother, but in entrepreneurs, coaches, creative healers, in people who've been conditioned to believe that their worth is tied to how much they can produce. When you ignore your limit, here's where you'll end up. Overcommitting, saying yes to everything until you stretch too thin. Underpricing yourself, giving more than you receive until resentment festers. Doing everything yourself instead of delegating or getting support because you think you should do everything yourself. And finally, burning out, then blaming yourself for not being strong enough. But here's the truth: your limits are not the enemy. Look at the earth. The earth is not unlimited. Her resources, while renewable, are still finite. And look at what happens when we refuse to respect and acknowledge that. Deforestation, extinction, climate collapse. The same is true for your body. You have limits in energy, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual energy. You have limits in time, in how much your nervous system can hold before tipping into stress, shutdown, or trauma. You have limits in strengths, things that come naturally to you and things that don't. And these limits, they inform the way you create your life and business. They shape your priorities, your boundaries, your pricing, and much more. They are not holding you back. They are guiding you forward to the life and the work that's right for you. Imagine a river. A river does not resist the rocks, the fallen trees, or the curving banks. It does not fight to erase them. It moves with them. It is shaped by them. A river wins without fighting, and so can you. So how do we do that? How do we honor our limits instead of battling against them? Well, you can do that by paying attention to where the flow gets blocked. Observe your life and business. Observe your daily activities. And ask yourself, where does the flow stop? For example, if coaching clients DMing you at all hours is draining you, it's time to honor your energy and time limit by setting boundary. If you feel underpaid and undervalued, it's time to honor your financial limit and raise your price. If you dread admin work but force yourself to do it, it's time to honor your strength limit and outsource, even if it's just 3 to 4 hours a week, even if it's a trade of service. If motherhood feels like an all-consuming sacrifice, it's time to honor your spiritual and emotional limit by carving out space for yourself, even if that's 2 hours a week to work on something that lights you up. Your child will be okay, I promise. Your clients and your business will be okay. The world will not crumble when you honor your humanity. If I handed you a blank canvas and said, paint anything, go ahead, you'll probably freeze. But if I give you a constraint, paint a charcoal portrait of your mother at 17 from a faded black and white photo with her long braids falling over her shoulders. Suddenly, something takes shape. Your limits are not a cage. They are a frame. They give you a starting point, a direction, a way forward. That night in my breastfeeding gown, staring at my reflection in the bathroom mirror, I thought I'd lost myself, but maybe I wasn't lost. Maybe I was just meeting the version of me who could no longer fight her limits, but had to learn to move with them. And in that surrender, I found something unexpected. I found flow, like a river meeting its banks, like a dancer, moving with the rhythm like a body, finally aligning with itself. And I can tell you this, life is much fuller on the other side of that fight. Not limitless, but enough. When I was early in my spiritual and entrepreneur journey, I was ignorant and arrogant. And I'm saying this not from a place of hate or judgment towards my past self, no. It's just that it was the truth in a sense that I believed that I could blow past any limits with willpower and techniques. Visualization technique, biohacking, I was so very deep in this illusion, sold by the personal development industry, right? And funny because I am part of this industry, but there's the dark side of this industry is that it can sell all this illusion around that if you just do this, you will get this without regarding to the specific limits, the specific life circumstances that each of the students in that particular course or programs are going through. My past self was ignorant and arrogant, and she were just conditioned to believe in that way. But that did cost me a lot of pain. It created so much self-doubt and resentment and just a general sense of what's wrong with me. Why can't I push past these things? Maybe there's something wrong with me, why I cannot do it and why other people could. So just to learn to honor my limit has been the most humbling and grounding lessons of my life. And I think it's one of the core lessons that my soul chose to reincarnate to learn, because I have had to learn it over and over. Right now, to be vulnerable and very open and transparent about my own journey. Like by the time of recording this episode, I am navigating through a chronic health condition that is asking me to honor my limit at another level. There is a belief that is so toxic in the spiritual and personal development space that if something negative is happening with your health or with your life, you have caused it, right? Because there is this idea that your thoughts cause everything. And yes, our thought does, in part, creates our reality. It does that, but it's not just all of our thought. And the dangerous thing about that is when, let's say, someone is navigating a health problem and subscribe to this idea, they might end up blaming themselves or trying to do more of the belief transformations while being so out of touch with reality. They don't go to the doctor, they don't follow protocol and take treatment, and just work less. So it's just so grounding and so humbling just to know that there are limits in life and there are limits in your own body, but knowing this, not to accept defeat but just to know what you have to create with. Like what I said and share in the story, your limits are creative constraint and you can use that to play with it, like moving like a river, winning without fighting. One of the most beautiful spiritual lessons that I have received was that when we begin our spiritual journey, we feel like the common belief is to go up the chakra, right? To do Kundalini rising or Shakti rising and rising up the chakra. My experience has been the opposite. I have been working down the chakra. I have been working from all the way here, high up here, consciousness, to really ground myself down to my root chakra so that I can learn to live in harmony with my bodies, with life, in this very imperfect, very messy and beautiful human life. And really, that's why our souls have come here in the first place, right? Our soul came here to have a human experience. And part of that is to accept these very human limits that we have. Accept that in a loving way and use that as creative constraint to create the life and the work that's right for us. If everybody is limitless, then we will all have the same life because limitless is the same everywhere. The thing that make our life and our business different is actually our limit. Our limit is the border, allow what's invisible to take shape and come into this three-dimensional world and being fully visible and tangible and felt and seen. So limits are beautiful. That's all I want to say. So speaking of using limit as creative constraint, it was through navigating the motherhood related limit that I created is this beautiful program called the Flow Mastermind. We launched it in 2024. It was sold out instantly. We launched it again early this 2025 and is already also fully booked. So the Flow Mastermind truly embodies this idea of learning how to find flow and ease and sustainable success as a coach and healer and change maker. So if this is something that speaks to you deeply, I really encourage you to learn more about flow. We only open once a year, and I tend to open it in December in the retreat that I host exclusively for members of Impact Coaching Circle. And speaking of Impact Coaching Circle, our program is opening. It is this beautiful container in the group where you have a robust system of support for you to start your coaching business with ease among people who are so much like you. They are also heart-centered and creative and wanting to make a difference. So Impact Coaching Circle will be opening the door in the end of April every year. So if you want to learn more, you can join our VIP waitlist. Just go to milenanguyen.com/ICC/waitlist. And that is milenanguyen.com/ICC/waitlist. Before we close, I want to leave you with a poem. This is a gift and a reminder for the parts of you that have fought against your limits, for the parts that still believe they need to be limitless to be worthy, and for the tender, brave, wild, and soft parts of you that are learning to embrace exactly where you are. This is for you. The poem is titled Look at You. And so often when we are small, we hear this phrase in a negative way, right? Look at you. Why are you so messy? Look at you. Why you're not behaving? Look at you. But with this poem, I want to give a different tone to this phrase. Look at you. As in, look at your beauty. Look at your light. Right? Look at the truth of who you are with admiration. So I hope you enjoy. Look at you. Come with me. Stand in front of this mirror. Not the one fogged by your doubts, not the one warped by the weight of not enough. This mirror, clean, still, waiting, the one that has always seen you. Look at you. I love you, how can I not? Just look. You're so tender, so soft, so dear. You're so afraid, so brave. You are light and darkness stumbling into one. I love you. How can I not? Look at you. The way you trace the lines of fallen leaves, the way you gaze out to sea, the way you close your eyes and feel the sun on the nape of your neck. I love you. How can I not? Look at you. Dancing to the beats of your drumming heart, wiping tears off your lips, asking life for another kiss, bandaging your knees, taking one more step on trembling legs. Keep your bruised palms up and open, holding both sunshine and rainfall. I love you. How can I not? Look at you. A woman, a warrior, a wildflower breaking through concrete. You didn't just survive, my dear. You blossom. Thanks for joining me on this episode of the Wildflower Way. I would be so grateful if you can follow or subscribe to the podcast, leave a rating, leave a comment, and especially leave a review if you are listening to us on Apple Podcast, because your review is the best help to allow other wildflower women to find their way here with us. As always, the best way to connect with me is to join my Wildflower Letters. It is free, but it's not cheap, and it is loved by thousands of readers worldwide. Go to milenanguyen.com/letter, and that is milenanguyen.com/letter. I'll see you in the next episode of the Wildflower Way. And until then, may your heart be wild and your spirit free. And now go out there and bloom.